sensitive cases that the Senate is going to be handling under the new constitution. The hearing of the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua starts this morning at 9 a.m. and by close of business tomorrow, we should be in a position to know whether he survived the ouster or it's gone the other way around. Yesterday he went to court, Vivian, and the judge said that, much as the court had the jurisdiction to to stop or make a determination of that, but the courts tried to be a bit balanced and said it's a very sensitive matter, so the Senate to proceed with the sitting.
Yeah. So the Senate is actually going to be having the sitting today from 9 a.m. in the morning, whereby they get to decide if the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, will be outing that position or he will get to maintain it. That is up to the Senate. It is all on the Senate right now to get to decide on that. So they will do that sitting today and they'll also do it tomorrow. Then we'll get to know what his fate is. And just in case that position is termed as vacant, in case they get to out him, then it means that the president will have to nominate the next person who will be able to keep that seat, or rather get onto that vacant seat, that is the deputy president's seat. And then the National Assembly will have within 60 days to get to sit down and get to nominate that person who will be able to fill up that vacant seat. So they say within 60 days, that is according to the Constitution. So it means it can be one day, within that one day to the 60th day. It doesn't mean that it has to be those 60 days for them to get to approve the person that the president will get to nominate. Well, we are living through very unprecedented times. This is history in the making. So we as a KBC will be making sure that we keep you up to date on all of that. Better keep it right here. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Vivian. And actually, the political scene has been very hectic, given that the Senate now has handled, this is a second impeachment case they are handling in a week, because they handled the case regarding the governor for Kericho, that is Eric Mutai. And now, starting today, they are handling the case, impeachment proceedings for the deputy president, which is going to have far-reaching implications in the political landscape of this country, as Vivian has alluded to. This is the first time that we are dealing with an impeachment case that is leveled against the deputy president. And given the proceedings of yesterday's from the courts, today morning a three-judge bench will pronounce itself on the matter, even though that the Senate is continuing with the impeachment proceedings. So we'll keep tabs on that and inform you accordingly. Welcome to the program. My name is Mike Megwe, and before I hand you over to Ray Manyara, I want to give you a simple quote by Roy T. Bennett. Believe in yourself. You are braver than you think, more talented than you know, and capable of more than you imagine. Believe in yourself. You're braver than you think, more talented than you know, and capable of more than you imagine. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning. That's an appropriate message, given where the deputy president is at this point. He's more than people think.
Yeah.
I think that's an appropriate message. I hope he's listening. Well, on other matters is that so much is happening in the local scene. We expected all eyes to be focused today, being the 16th and the 17th at the Senate. That follows the court ruling yesterday that said that Senate should proceed with its motion there in as far as the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is concerned. It will not intervene or give stay orders that were sought to have that proceeding actually shelved. That was a decision that was taken by the court yesterday. So all eyes are going to be fixed on the Senate today. And also today happens to be the 16th, which is the World Food Day. This is a day that is commemorated annually, and Nandi County is hosting the celebrations, this year's celebration, under the theme to foods for a better life. and a better future. Our reporter, Joseph Wahungu, is already at the Kaimosi Agricultural Training Center, or Institute if you like, where we're expecting any minute from now in the course of this particular bulletin to just head there quickly to just give us a feel of what is happening, where we are expecting none other than President William Ruto as a chief guest in this particular occasion. So we're going to be going live in the course of this particular broadcast. There's been a lot of conversation when it comes to matters of food security, especially with the debate of whether we fully go GMO or not. And if we have GMOs, are they branded? How will they affect indigenous seeds as such? So those are the conversations we are likely to hear stakeholders have in this particular day as we commemorate the World Food Day, the 16th. So that's just a little bit away from what is happening in the Senate. So in the next few minutes, we're going to be bringing you up to speed with stories that are making headlines, and those who are keenly watching what is happening globally. We're talking about the turf, or rather the push and shove, push and pull between North Korea and South Korea. So yesterday, North Korea blew up roads connecting to South Korea. Now, according to international media reports, is that the Korean People's Army described the move as a self-defensive measure for inhibiting war. We take a quick breather. We'll be back with In the Head. Good morning, I'm Regina Manyera. This is In the Headlines. You can be part of this conversation. Get us on X at KBC Channel 1. A date with destiny, so to speak, at the Senate, and we pick up from there. The Senate will convene today and tomorrow to hear and determine one of the most significant political hearings of recent times, the impeachment trial of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. The motion, which has shaken the country politically, was formally submitted to the Senate after being passed in the National Assembly. The proceedings will scrutinize 11 grounds laid out against Gachagua, with all eyes now on the Senate to see how the House will navigate this matter. Here's Gladys Mungai with that report.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is set to face the full House of the Senate as he fights attempts to remove him from office through impeachment. Senate Speaker Amason Kingi gazetted Wednesday and Thursday as the days for hearing and determining the impeachment after the National Assembly voted to impeach DP Rigathi Gachagua. As stipulated under Schedule 2 of the Senate Standing Orders on Rules of Procedure for removal of a Deputy President by impeachment, the process will kick off by a pre-hearing meeting by senators in a closed-door session before the preliminaries, where the rules of the procedure and schedule for debate for the next 2 days will be spelled out. This will then be followed up by 30 minutes of opening statements from both the National Assembly and the Defense Counsel for the Deputy President. After opening statements, the National Assembly will move to present its case within the allocated time and call its witnesses. They include former KEMSA CEO Dr. Andrew Mulwa, Secretary to the Cabinet Mercy Wanjau, and Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja. More witnesses may be presented upon request and approval of the same by Senate Speaker. After parties have presented their evidence, the Speaker of the Senate shall allow closing statements to be made on behalf of the National Assembly and thereafter on behalf of the Deputy President. The Senate will then move into a camera session to deliberate on matters raised before voting on all the 11 charges. The impeachment motion against DP Gachagua was spearheaded by Kibwezi lawmaker Mwengi Mutuse, who accused the Deputy President of gross misconduct, abuse of office, and violation of the Constitution. The charges also cover a wide range of issues touching on ethnic breaches and governance failures that have allegedly undermined the credibility of the Deputy President's office. In the event any of the 11 charges are upheld by the Senate, the Deputy President ceases to hold office, but still has the option of fighting his political battle through the courts. The DP needs 23 senators out of 67 senators to defeat each and every charge leveled against him.
Now you know what it really means for the deputy president today, like from today all the way to tomorrow. And the scribes have also aptly put it and even given it a timeline. Clock ticks to final decision. So in the next 48 hours, the deputy president will engage in a fight for his political life that rose from a one-term MP to the second highest seat in the land, which is a no mean feat. However, he faces a permanent ban from holding public office should he face senators and fail to convince them to drop his impeachment. Already new evidence indicates that the National Assembly will go for his jugular, with friends turning foe hours after the courts okayed the process. My colleagues Victor, Vivian and Mike are going to be unpacking what has been captured in the various dailies in regard to what we expect to be the political showdown in Senate. And now, while that is happening, as they say, one day in politics is quite a long time, a section of women drawn from the Mount Kenya region are lobbying for Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru to become the next deputy president in the event that the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is upheld by the Senate on Thursday. This is a section of Mount Kenya University students backed Gachagua's impeachment, saying he did too little under his 2-year tenure.
As the Senate prepares to consider the impeachment motion of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua this Wednesday and Thursday, the debate on his possible succession is taking shape. A section of women drawn from the Mount Kenya region are already backing Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru for the position should the Senate uphold Gachagua's impeachment.
Naomba tu kitu moja hivi tukiwa wanawake wa Kirinyaga na tukiwa wanawake wa Kenya mzima. Tafadhali hii kiti tunaomba tu hii kiti njoo inaonekana iko na vazi. Tafadhali tupatie tu mwanamke.
Tuko na mama ambaye ni wa nguvu na ni our governor Anne Waiguru. Na ndio tunaomba juu ni mama mfanyikazi. Ukikuja hapa Kirinyaga, magavana hao wengine wote walikuwa wanakuja hapa Kirinyaga kuona maendeleo yenye amefanya.
The women grassroots leaders, however, say apart from holding adequate credentials, Waiguru's appointment as a second in command will make gender inclusivity a reality.
Kama mambo imefika mahali imefika, iwe ya kwamba hakuna mambo ingine itawezekana ama imefika mwisho. Tunataka hiyo kiti ya deputy president irudishe Mount Kenya, kwa sababu hiyo kiti ilikuwa ya Mount Kenya.
Patie hiyo kiti irudi Mount Kenya na irudi kwa mama, na mama huyu tunataka apeo hiyo kiti, tunataka apeo Waiguru, our governor.
This as the student leaders under the Mount Kenya College and University Students Association backed Gachagua's impeachment, arguing that he has done too little for the 2 years he has been in office.
The reason why we want Governor Anne Waiguru is because her track record speaks for itself.
Waiguru went on to become the first ever female chairperson of the Council of Governors, proving that leadership doesn't have to be loud, it just have to be effective.
The students also endorsed Waiguru's candidature for the position of deputy president.
As we say, it's a battle of his political life. What does it mean if indeed the Senate upholds his ouster? We'll be keeping tabs on that. Remember, we're going to be live from today for the next 48 hours as eyes are focused on the Senate in regard to that particular matter. When the Senate is going to be in session, you bet KBC Channel 1 is going to be live. Now, speaking about the Senate, is that the Senate Speaker, Amazon Kingi, has directed the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, to apprehend and produce Isiolo Governor Abdi Guyo before the Senate. While delivering the order, Kingi said that the verdict rendered is not a favor that the IG sought to enforce the said orders. Kingi has further urged senators to bring forth a censure motion against the county head who will be prosecuted in the Senate.
Early this month, the Senate Labour Committee, chaired by West Pokot Senator Julius Murgor, was forced to take action after Guyo failed to appear to answer questions about the employment status in the devolved unit.
This conduct with the governor not only undermines the rule of law, but obstructs the Senate from discharging its role as a protector of counties under Article 96(1) of the Constitution and the primary organ of oversight on the use of public funds by county governments under Article 96(3) of the Constitution. This is not acceptable. It cannot be allowed to continue.
The Senate Health Committee had already indicted the governor and ordered the Inspector General to arrest him and cause him to appear before the committee.
Is that you should actually have ordered the Inspector General of Police to search and produce the governor, wherever he is, if he's in Isiolo, Dubai, whichever part of the world he's in, Mr. Speaker, until he's produced here before the Senate.
A notice of motion had been filed before the Senate to discuss the conduct of the county boss, with threats to halt the resources allocation to the devolved unit until the governor is held accountable.
Now, before we take you down to Nandi County for the World Food Day, which is marked annually, let's have a sneak peek on stories that have been making headlines across the counties, where the Mount Kenya Forest Sustainable Landscape Management Board has launched a 4-year plan aimed at boosting the forest cover as well as conserving the Mount Kenya Forest Water Tower. The plan will commence in the counties of Embu and Kirinyaga and later be rolled out in other counties across the Mount Kenya region. These and other stories in our County News Roundup.
The plan will run from 2025 to 2029 to restore the forest cover and also engage locals in regenerative farming to reduce soil erosion and conserve the land and water.
So far, we have rehabilitated together about 129 hectares of degraded lands in counties of Embu and Kirinyaga combined. So that's a work we do with stakeholders.
And United States of America Ambassador to Kenya Meg Whitman said the U.S. is committed to supporting development projects in Kisii County.
We have a program for technology in health and HIV support for orphans and vulnerable children. We have a Western Kenya sanitation project, which I think could potentially be expanded dramatically. A Western Kenya water project here.
Elsewhere, Public Health Principal Secretary Mary Mudhoni has said a committee will be set up to implement monthly cleaning exercise for the polluted Athi River following concerns raised by leaders of Machakos, Makueni and Kitui counties.
When we join hands, and even if it becomes part of Epuka Uchafu, that every month we will practice Epuka Uchafu by cleaning that river, then so be it.
Meanwhile, the county government of Embu has earmarked 3 level 3 health facilities in the county to be upgraded to level 4 status and suspended the collection of facility improvement fund in level 2 and 3 hospitals across the county.
Na wamesikia burden ya health imewaingia zaidi kuliko vile ilikuwa zamani. Na tumesikiza na tukasikia malalamiko na kilio chao, na tumeona ni vizuri tuache hiyo malipo kabisa. Tukome hiyo malipo kabisa.
In Siaya County, residents of Siranyawita village in Ugunja sub-county are appealing to the government and well-wishers to come to the aid of 3 orphans whose house was demolished in a land-grabbing incident.
Hapa ndio nilikuwa naishi, hapa ndio nilikuwa nalala, vile amebomoa nyumba. Saa nyingine lazima tu nitafute marafiki wangu ndio nilale. Na uwezi kulala kwa rafiki hata 3 days, lazima uulize shida ni nini. Sasa nilikuwa nataka kama anaweza toka, atuambie shida, atuambie naenda wapi saa hii.
And Bukura Agricultural Training College in Lurambi constituency, Kakamega County, has been closed indefinitely over student unrest.
Insecurity imechangiwa sana na watu ya villagers. Wanatuvamia usiku na mchana bwana. Sasa wamenyoa mwanafunzi wetu shingo, wanataka kuua. Juzi wamekata shingo na hakuna mtu anaongea. Polisi wamekuwa hapa lakini hakuna kazi wamefanya.
Finally, the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy has assured residents of Kisii that it will attain the 25,000 tree seedling target set for the Nyanturago swamp.
Tupalilie ile sehemu ambayo ile miti imeanza kufinywa na nyanzi na sehemu zingine, ile ambayo mingine ambayo imekauka pia tutakuja kureplace, ndio tuhakikishe kwamba mahali ambao tumetoka hatutarudi huko tena.
Now, from the county's news roundup, as we had promised you annually, Kenya joins ranks with the rest of the globe to mark the World Food Day. And today, the activities are taking place at the KBC Agriculture Training School there. And my colleague, Joseph Wahungu, is on ground. Good morning, Joseph. Bring us up to speed on what we expect today.
Well, a very good morning, Regina Manyara. We are coming to you live from KBC in Nandi County. This is a very important place, of course, for you and me as a Kenyan. We all know that food is very important, and today is World Food Day. And in KBC, Nandi County is only the place where the government has, set aside for the national celebrations of the World Food Day. Now, we know the global celebrations is today for the World Food Day, but of course the national celebrations will be this week on Friday, that is the 18th of October. So we came here basically to look at what initiatives, what steps have been taken to ensure that this country is food secure. We know that some of the statistics are really glaring. If you look at the global hunger statistics today, we are told that approximately 700 million people across the globe are not food secure, or they are rather food insecure. So as part of our mission here, we will be looking at what farmers in this bread basket and across the country can do to ensure that, the country is food secure. And so with us here, we have experts from, the Cereal Growers Association who have come with us to try to see what they are doing to ensure that the country is food secure. And Mr. Julius, if you may come with me, come close to me. Good morning. This is KBC Channel 1 Live. Please tell us about Cereal Growers Association and what you really do to ensure that this country has food.
Yeah, my name is Julius Nyabicha. I work for Cereal Growers Association. We've been, as an institution, we've been around for 28 years. This is a non-for-profit national organization that brings together farmers. Initially, cereal farmers, but now we have expanded our portfolio to include other food crops. We do so because we need to bring together farmers, smallholder farmers, medium-scale farmers, and as well as large-scale farmers. We also bring together input companies that we call associate members that provide that important link of inputs and the provision of the inputs to farmers and technologies. What we do is to disseminate important technologies to farmers, because we understand that for us to produce, agriculture is extremely dynamic. And these technologies have got to be passed on to farmers. So we use a very important model that we call the Farmer Service Center model, that we train a few farmers, lead farmers, that can be able to cascade the same information to other farmers, because we all understand peer-to-peer learning is much more important, and farmers get to understand better when they get this information from other farmers. We are currently serving over 600,000 farmers directly in this country. We are in 32 counties, ensuring that there is food security, not just food security, but also ensuring that farmers get to do business, farming as a business. They make money, we increase their income streams, and we keep them busy throughout the year so that they can be able to undertake farming as a business. Particularly for food, World Food Day, which is actually today, but we shall be here for 3 days. We are exhibiting different technologies to ensure that farmers get to understand the technologies that will be able to increase their productivity and also make them sustainable. So we're here for the next 3 days, and the theme for this year is the right to food for a better life and for a better future, while leaving nobody behind. That leaving nobody behind is what is bringing us here, so that we can be able to include every single citizen of this country, every single farmer of this country. They get to understand on how to produce food. A lot of people are going without food. And a lot of people are undergoing what we call hidden hunger. Hidden hunger is when you take food, but it is not nutritious food. So these are the issues that we want to address together with the government. We have very good partnership with the development partners like AGRA. We have got very good cooperation with the World Food Program, and we are implementing projects together. So we are here because we need to pass on this information to the rest of the Kenyans to make sure that we are food secure. And how do we become food secure? We become food secure by embracing the current and modern technologies to ensure that we produce more from our pieces of land, which are not increasing, by the way. So we use the same piece of land, the same size, but we do increased productivity and to ensure that all this is done. And remember that this country, there is a lot of urbanization taking place, and therefore our eating habits are changing. We are eating more animal products, which take much more resources to produce as compared to plant products. And that this is the challenges that we need to face, and our production has to increase exponentially.
And what are some of the other gaps that you think should be looked at, in as far as making sure that this country is food secure? What are some of the other gaps, apart from embracing technology, that we need to look at as a country?
Policy is extremely important because we have to create an enabling environment for us to produce, and that's the reason why we partner very closely with the county government, we partner very closely with the national government. For instance, we are running what we call the wheat purchase program for many years to ensure that Kenyan farmers get to produce and produce sustainably, and also we do not over-rely on importation. So we work very closely with the government to align out the policies so that they can be favorable to the farmers that do the food production. We bring together farmers in other partners in terms of partnerships, because we cannot do it alone. Food production is a multi-sectoral issue, and we must always come together as partners.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Julius. Maybe one more person from your group can just join me. Welcome, sir. Just briefly tell us what you do in this county and how do you impact on farmers to ensure that their work in the farm is more productive for the country. Briefly.
Okay, thank you. My name is Kipruto Anthony. I'm the County Agribusiness Coordinator in Nandi, implementing 2 projects in Nandi, CGA projects in Nandi. We have 2 projects. The first project is ACON, Agroforestry Carbon Removal Units for the organic restoration of nature, where we help our farmers transition from monoculture to the agroforestry aspect of farming. Where we help our farmers transition from monoculture to the agroforestry aspect of farming. We also have another project known as Promoting Sustainable Farming Practices, Inclusive Markets, Trade for Smallholder Farmers, where we try to link farmers to markets through the grains, the produce they plant in their farm. So in the Econ Agroforestry project, we are targeting 2 million trees in line with the national agenda for the government in the next 3 years. And also we have a targeted number of 35,000 farmers for both projects in the county.
Well, thank you very much. We'll be talking to you later on to show us exactly what happens in the farms. You said you deal with nutrition. Please take us through that and how you sensitize farmers on the need to produce nutritious foods.
My name is Nora Maio, working for Cereal Growers Association. Yes, this year's theme for World Food Day is on food and nutrition. CGA is in frontline, in line with the Sustainable Development Goal number 2, where we are focusing on zero hunger by the year 2030. You realize the population by the year 2022, as per the statistics, 9.2% of the population were facing issues of malnutrition and hunger. And CGA is offering technical services to promote locally available foods so that it offers highly nutritive content to our population, because we need a population that is productive. For instance, we promote the growing of high iron beans. That is a project we are supported by the organization of AGRA through the school feeding program. We also promote consumption of highly nutritive vegetables, the African indigenous vegetables, the black nightshade called managu locally. We promote the consumption of Irish potatoes. We have the yellow flesh, sweet potatoes, spinach, and what have you. That is those are sustainable farming practices that just ensure that the population is healthy and productive.
Good. Thank you very much. We'll be talking to you later on to also look at the nutritious aspects of farmers. We are joined, of course, with a farmer here who will tell us how they are benefiting on the ground before we wrap it up. Habari yako mzee?
Mzuri sana.
Tueleze jinsi ambavyo nyinyi wakulima katika hii kaunti ya Nandi mmeweza kunufaika na miradi kama ile ambayo inatekelezwa na shirika hili la CGA.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Edwin Malakwen kutoka Elgeyo Marakwet County. Tumekuja Nandi ili tupate funzo ambaye CGA inatupatia kila mara kupitia mradi ya wakulima. Sisi tumepata mafunzo mingi kupitia CGA FTMA, sababu tangu CGA ilipoanzishwa, Sisi tulibaitika kama wamama, wazee kwa vijana. Kazi mingi ambaye tumepata kupitia CGF TMA ni mafunzo ambaye imetusaidia sisi kunawiri. Hasa kwa mradi ya maharagwe, kwa mbegu ambaye tunapata certified seeds ya viazi pamoja na nyota beans, imetusaidia na imepatilisha maisha yetu. Maneno ya kupima mchanga, soil sampling, tangu tulipofanya sampling mimea yetu imepata kunawiri na tumepata faida kupitia CGA FTMA.
Asante sana. Tutakuwa tunaona baadaye kazi ambayo mmefanya katika mashamba yenu. Regina Manyara, as you can see, that is exactly what we will be doing here and even more. So as for now, I'll be taking it back to you. But of course, we are taking a short break before we come back with the rest of our programming. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Wahungu, for that particular update on what we require to know about the World Food Day, which is marked annually on the 16th of October every year across the world. And a lot of questions are abound there. What is the fate of indigenous seeds now that Kenya is poised to embrace GMO and such? What also does food security? How do we tie in matters of climate onto matters food security? Also, affordability of farm inputs, including fertilizers and such, is one of the challenges that especially smallholder farmers, who account for 80% of the farming fraternity in the country, have been, raising an issue about. Government coming in to subsidize fertilizer, and questions also around access to extension services. Remember, extension services back in the day were actually a preserve of the national government, but now with the devolvement of this particular government units, we've not had extension services there. So information on new farming equipment as well as inputs and such, farmers have been decrying the absence, or rather that particular gap. These are some of the issues that are likely to be brought forth as stakeholders take to the podium as Kenya join ranks with the rest of the countries, or rather the globe, in marking the World Food Day, whose theme this year is Right to Foods for a Better Life and a Better Future. Chief guest expected today in Nandi County, that is at the KBC Agricultural Training School, is none other than President William Ruto, and Joseph Wahungu is already on ground. That puts a cap on matters in the headlines. Be sure to peruse our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke, for further stories, including what is happening in the sporting arena, business, and even across the world. Today being the 16th and 17th, the showdown is expected at Senate, and we are live. Up next is a candid conversation with our panelists, led by Victor Law, in regard to what we expect to see at the Senate in this political showdown that has been termed one of a lifetime. That puts the Deputy President the Deputy President, that is Rigathi Gachagua, against the Senate after what transpired at the National Assembly. I leave in the capable hands of Victor Olo. Do not go away.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Nadhani umefika muda wa kurudi kwa wazazi wangu
na mwanangu Maya. Hapa haya ni maji ya shingo na nimeshindwa kabisa kuyaogelea.
Mimi naweza chapwa na mwanamke mimi huyo basi.
Hata wewe mtu mzima haujui kuchunga mzigo wako. Shauri yako.
That is why children are living. I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm moving the positive vibes. Stop on my face. You only come around to do fake things. You little bad.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevatishwa zile wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yule ambaye ataongeza katika jambo letu hili, yani Uislamu, kisichokuwa ndani ya Uislamu, basi atakuwa ni mwenye kurejeshewa.
Tuangalieni mambo ambayo kwamba yatasaidia katika umma, si kutenganisha umma, bali umma tuulete sehemu moja.
Siku sawa amini kukangara ulimwenguni.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia mashinani.
Wanahabari zaidi ya ubora wao wako ange kukuletea habari pindi zinapochipuka kutoka pembe zote za Kenya.
Kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini tunakuletea mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja kufafanua na kuangazia masuala yanayokuhusu wewe mtazamaji.
Kumbuka, taarifa yenye thamani daima hupokewa kwa amani.
Hivyo basi usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki.
Tukupakulie na tukutaarifu taarifa yenye mnato kwenye runinga unayoienzi. Kwenye kurunzi mashinani,
sisi DC.
Nyinyi ndio mnaotuongoza. Ni kweli mmemchagua Mbura awe kiongozi wetu.
Mwanamke sio mtu wa kuamini. Anaweza kukua wakati wowote akitaka.
Sio kwa mke wangu.
Kwa nini wanaume waone thamani ya mwanamke katika jamii? Ni kwa sababu ya mila na tamaduni zetu ama ni ubinafsi tu wanaume wako nao?
Mimi ndimi kiongozi wa wafanyakazi wote pale kwenye serikali ya Mbura.
Huo uhuni wako hautoshi hata ukucha wa kidole cha mguu wangu.
Tubaki hapa peke yangu, twende sote.
morning. Welcome back to the program. 16th day, yes, 16th day of October 2024, the year of our Lord, that we are here witnessing history actually happening right before our eyes, at least for majority of Kenyans who are under the new constitution. This is something new to us that we have never experienced. Probably a majority of us will also get down to pen and paper to do a journal on what really happened on this particular day. It will be part of the history that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is facing the Senate today in the last-minute ditch to either save his job, or if he doesn't save his job, then the Senate will pronounce itself on the charges and he'll be sent home. I have Mheshimiwa Pitorero. He is legislator representing the great people of Kibra constituency here in the capital city. Mheshimiwa, good morning.
Morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Asante sana.
Thank you for inviting us again today.
Karibu sana. And Lucy Moria. Lucy Moria is CEO and founder the Kenya Pro-Aging Organization. She's also a politician. And watu wa Isiolo, I'm talking to you. Mheshimiwa, good morning.
Good morning, Olong. Good morning, watu wa Isiolo.
Good morning.
And our governor will be arrested today. That's our news, yes.
What did you just say?
I just said it.
Why?
Kwani wewe huko Kenya? Our governor is the one who defies orders to answer the Senate. And yesterday the Senate decided that he should be arrested, ordered by the Speaker of the Senate, that he should be arrested to be answering the committee members and to tell the people of Isiolo where he lives, because we don't know.
I'll come back to that shortly. I have got Wilson Sossion.
Why can't you impeach him?
Yes, advise me.
Okay, that is interesting. Wilson Sossion is former NAT Secretary General as well as nominated Member of Parliament. Mheshimiwa, good to see you once again.
Yeah, good to see you.
You've been so silent.
No, I'm not silent.
Last couple of a week or so, you've not texted me. I've not
because you're also off action.
No. You watch me
when you're off action, I'm off action. But when you're in action, we are in action.
Why the silence?
I don't know.
I know you.
Why did you keep quiet yourself?
I know you. Why the silence?
No, I've not been silent.
Exams in Jafika.
I've not been silent. I've been speaking. I've been in the communication space, the media space.
Okay, maybe I'm the one who's not been getting hold of it. It's okay.
Yes.
We'll get to know that, right? All right, so let me get you through the front page of the local dailies. Let me start with the Daily Nation. The fight of his life, that is on the front page of the Daily Nation. The fight of his life. The man and the subject on the front page is Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, DP's options fast dwindling as D-Day looms. And here, he stands trial. A defiant Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua faces an uphill battle for survival in the Senate today, even as a 3-judge bench appointed by the Chief Justice rules on his last-ditch bid to stop senators from proceeding with the impeachment case against him. Will his efforts bear fruit, or will he be too little too late for the DP? That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. Justice Chacha Mwita made a ruling yesterday, and he said that even though the court had the jurisdiction to determine the petition, Parliament ought to be allowed to run its course. And I quote, "There should be a delicate balance in respective mandate of different arms of government. Courts should strive to achieve the balance and respect what Parliament constitutionally required to discharge." Mwalimu Morero, this particular ruling by the judge, perhaps the key word is to strike a balance.
I think, Chacha, the pronouncement that he has made, striking a balance is, I think, respecting different arms of government. Presumably, knowing that the legislature, the arm of the government that deals with the making of the laws and the bills in this country, is National Assembly. and then we have the executive and the judiciary. So he's trying to pronounce himself. He's also trying to make it straight to the Kenyans and all of us that the three arms of government must respect each other and they must operate within their jurisdiction. And again, the judiciary must not interfere with the proceedings of the National Assembly.
Yes.
They will only come in when they feel that certain procedures were not followed and are at variance with the constitutional framework of this country. So I think what is trying to preempt, Chacha is trying to say that they must allow the due process of the law to take place, in that they must allow the National Assembly proceedings, and now it is in the Senate. The National Assembly did their part, and now it rests with the Senate. So I think it is foolhardy to go to the judiciary to try and terminate a proceeding which has not even occurred. I think Chacha is trying to say that we must allow proceedings to occur within these three arms of the government, and each arm must be allowed to operate as independent as possible. And that is what he's trying to mean by striking a balance, to allow all the arms of the government to have their distinctive roles, because they are defined within the Constitution. So I believe that that pronouncement is allowing the Senate to go on with the proceedings today to its logical conclusion.
Thereafter, the courts can now take it over.
Yes, thereafter now, the courts can now come in if there is flow within the procedures, or that the procedures were not properly followed. So I think that is what he's trying to say.
Absolutely. All right. And Lucy, what do you make of this headline? The fight of his life. This must be, it's self-explanatory, so to speak.
Fight of his life.
Yes.
Actually, it is fight for his life, because his goose is like hooked. So he doesn't know.
That is more of conclusive.
He doesn't know. Even saying fight for his life is conclusive. So I can also talk conclusively. So the fact that what happened at the assembly, and we saw it, it was like huge. It couldn't be at a point of panic. So that one, he feels like he's already done. And he doesn't know what to expect tomorrow. And that's why you see him going up to block, of which I don't think it's right. He shouldn't give all the processes their time to make their own decisions. I'm wondering if everything is okay. He thinks he thinks the parliament didn't do the right thing. Why is he so much worried about blocking the Senate? You should let the Senate do its work, because they do different, their decisions are different, and the Senate is mandated differently. It's a court. So I wonder why he wants it blocked. So why do you block a system not to work? It's something also we should be questioning. So he thinks like he's already done. And that's, this is like, it is do or die. So he will do anything, including blocking Senate, including going to every court, to see if he can survive. He's already in his mind, the way I can read it as a psychologist, he could be thinking he's already done. And if you are not thinking already done, you wouldn't be so much worried about what the Senate will say. Just wait.
Okay. It's quite interesting, because we are living in a time when the three arms of government are now working independently. This is where the independence of all the three arms of government now operate independently. When you look at the executive, parliament is also doing its work independently. The judiciary also said, this is how it's supposed to be. Perhaps, Mwalimu Sosion, I mean, if all these three arms of government worked independently, Justice Chacha Mwita saying, there's a very delicate balance, parliament must continue its work, and if it happens to proceed to the judiciary, then they'll also do their role as per the Constitution. What do you make of this as you combine the two?
That is what the Constitution 2010 envisaged. That is the spirit and the letter of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And 14 years down the line, some people, particularly those who believe in impunity, do not understand that these arms of government are independent of each other and therefore cannot interfere with the operations of each other's work. I agree. Once Parliament institutes a process, judiciary cannot interfere. It will have to wait until it dispenses of that matter. If it is legislation, it will have to wait until that piece of legislation is assented to by the president. Then anybody can take it before the judiciary. That is when the judiciary can entertain such an application, and it will examine. And we have seen in this country, many laws have been declared unconstitutional. A number of acts have been declared unconstitutional. And once the judiciary declare those laws unconstitutional, the executive and parliament, as always, complied. Matters to do with impeachment. 14 years down the line, we are seeing certain aspects of the Constitution maturing. And I would say chicks have come home to roost with respect to impeachment. That then Kenyans are appreciating that it's a constitutional instrument that is used against state officers who have violated the constitution of the laws, engaged in crimes, and engaged in gross violation. And Kenyans are utilizing it. And we have seen very effective impeachment attempts, some others successful, and still, after Parliament successfully concluding an impeachment process, then parties are still at liberty to move the courts to seek justice and redress. And this is how our governance structure is designed, so that if you feel your rights have not been granted, then you're still free to move the judiciary, but move at the right time. So those who have been impeached, and anybody being impeached in future, I think lessons have been learned from these Rigathi Gachagua impeachment and the others. The courts cannot interfere whatsoever. Wait for Parliament to conclude whatever decision, whichever way, then it will be legitimate to entertain.
But somebody would argue that it's a survival tactic. Perhaps, Lucy, as a psychologist, because it's human's nature to fight for survival. Even if you're left all alone in the desert and you're faced with wild animals, your human instinct to survive will automatically kick in. So in this case, we would say that Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's survival instinct kicked in, and he had to run to the courts because who wants to lose his job? I mean, whether you're right or wrong. Yeah,
he has created a defense mechanism, and I'm quite sure that he knows maybe things will not go right. Because even your instinct tells you when things are not right. When you have not been doing the right things, why jump? This is a system. This is Parliament. This is Senate. Even Kawera Mwangasa went through Assembly. She was impeached by Assembly. It was taken to Senate. Now she's in court. Yes. Why can't you wait? The instinct, it tells you that is not right. His goose are cooked. Yes.
What if the instinct tells him that he's right? And that's why he's fighting to survive.
You know, no one likes dying. Even when you know you're going to die, you still think
this one to die.
No one wants to die. Even when you know you're dying, you're still hanging on. Yeah. So I think that is what it is, and maybe his advisors, his lawyers, and lawyers, of course, they will never. I'm sure none of the lawyers is here. Lawyers will never tell you that you're going to die. It is over. Even when they know it is, they will tell you, no, it will work. Okay. It's fine. It's gonna be okay.
On the front page of the Standard, I'll come back to that. Those were opening statements. Standard has it different. 47, 59, 59. That is the hours remaining. 47, 59, 59. So probably in the next 48 hours. That's what's the interpretation of what's on the front page of the Standard. 48 hours, basically it's 47, 59, 49, to go. And the man, or the subject of the front page is Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. It says that in the next 48 hours, the Deputy President will engage in a fight for his political life, that he rose from a one-term member of parliament to the second highest seat in the land is no mean feat. However, he faces a permanent ban from public service should he face senators and fail to convince them to drop his impeachment. Already, new evidence indicates that the National Assembly will go for his jugular, with the friends turning 4 hours after the courts okayed the process. So I'll take you through the process that we expect today and tomorrow, and of course the next 6 days if it happens that he's impeached. So here we are on the front page of the Star newspaper. It's quite different. How Gachagua bought Brothers Lavish Hotel. That is on the front page of the Star. All right. How Gachagua bought Brothers Lavish Hotel. That must be an expose here by the Star newspaper. The witness, Njombo Mushira, confesses that Rigathi used him to acquire Olive Gardens Hotel. And now the DP has, however, told the Senate he does not own the property. So who is speaking the truth? Mheshimiwa Warero, it seems that there's a lot of affidavits now being tabled before the House. It's not yet over.
I'm not a lawyer per se, but I think at the National Assembly, some of these questions arose about the Olive Garden.
Yes.
And I think one of the members brought the same case in the National Assembly. But you know, as we were not going to prosecute, I think that is left for the Senate.
Yeah.
But the matters of Olive Garden, the matters of the hotels of the brother came up very, very vigorously. But now it is time to adduce evidence at the Senate level. They must lay the evidence, and most importantly, they may even call witnesses in person to come and state under the oath and confirm whether those allegations are true, because at the moment they are still allegations until they are proved that these are the right thing. But I believe for that and that high office, for such allegations to be made, it will be very careless if that person has no evidence. I think they could be having evidence, and I know they are expected to put them on the table as the Senate takes the case today and maybe tomorrow conclusively. I think we are in a very interesting scenario now. And when we look at our Constitution, the 2010 Constitution is almost like a Bible. I am told that I'm also a believer in Bible. I'm told that there is nothing which is not written in the Bible. Even the way you are sitting, you'd find that it's written in a Bible. So our constitutions also has tried to cover almost all aspects of life. In fact, before this impeachment, most Kenyans did not even envisage that a deputy president could be impeached. But when you look at those articles, they are completely covered for 45. The process of impeachment of the deputy president and even the president are almost the same. So I think the due process should be allowed to proceed, and I believe they are going to prosecute this case without biasness, as we did at the National Assembly. We know we gave the deputy president 2 hours to address us in a calm and conducive environment without interference. So I think as the Senate also carries their jurisdiction, we hope that he is going to be given time to defend himself, and if he is guilty, then he's going to be impeached.
I want us to take a break, but I want to ask you this question, William Sosion and Wally Morero. How does it feel that exams are almost around the corner as teachers? How does it feel?
Well, it's the greatest moment of anxiety for any teacher presenting students for examination. In fact, the pressure it's not even very much on students. It is on the teacher.
Okay.
The deep concern on the success of the students and how they'll perform.
The progress of the school, etc., etc.
Yes, then the head teacher, the anxiety of how the school will generally
now that Moreno was a head teacher,
then,
allow me to ask him this question. How was it when you were told that exams are starting in the next 10 hours?
Not even 10 hours. You might not have a sleep for a whole week before the exams. In fact, teachers shape the lives of the students. 90% is the work done by the teachers.
Very good.
And the anxiety which is there, I can tell you the teachers are very, very anxious. They disperse knowledge, skill, attitude. So it is now that they must confirm, really, whether they have been imparting the right knowledge.
That knowledge.
And of course, they need very good Christmas gift.
Right, Wakili.
Ambaye ataongeza katika jambo letu hili, yani Uislamu, kisichokuwa ndani ya Uislamu, basi atakuwa ni mwenye kurejeshewa.
Tuangalieni mambo ambayo kwamba yatasaidia katika umma, si kutenganisha umma, bali umma tuulete sehemu moja.
Siku alosawa amini kukangara ulimwenguni.
Ninyi ndio mnaotuongoza. Ni kweli mmemchagua Mbura awe kiongozi wetu.
Mwanamke sio mtu wa kuamini. Anaweza kukua wakati wowote akitaka. Sio kwa mke wangu.
Kwa nini wanaume waone thamani ya mwanamke katika jamii? Ni kwa sababu ya mila na tamaduni zetu ama ni ubinafsi tu wanaume wako nao?
Mimi ndimi kiongozi wa wafanyakazi wote pale kwenye serikali ya Mbura.
Huo uhuni wako hautoshi hata ukucha wa kidole cha mguu wangu.
Tubaki hapa peke yangu, twende sote.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth way the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Colda,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hatija ai, mani especially ukisonga.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia mashinani.
Wanahabari zaidi ya ubora wao wako ange kukuletea habari pindi zinapochipuka kutoka pembe zote za Kenya.
Kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini tunakuletea mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja kufafanua na kuangazia masuala yanayokuhusu wewe mtazamaji.
Kumbuka, taarifa yenye thamani daima hupokewa kwa amani.
Hivyo basi usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki.
Tukupakulie na tukutaarifu taarifa yenye mnato kwenye runinga unayoienzi. Kwenye kurunzi mashinani,
sisi DC. The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations. It's art, it's culture. Movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
All right, welcome back. So, before we took a break, I asked a question to Honorable Sosion and Honorable Borrero, because exams are starting, and not when I don't have the dates exactly, but it should be around the corner. And I know the anxiety with the parents now. And as former active teachers, they have confirmed that the anxiety is always so hard on the teachers. With the Mheshimiwa Borrero being a former head teacher, the pressure is always on you as head of schools. You either want to retain the name of the school, or you want to perform, you want to take several students to the university. There is competition for your neighboring schools. The reason why I ask this question is right now is akin to what's happening to the Deputy President. And you have confirmed that it's more on the side of the teachers than on the side of the students. Would you still confirm the same?
Very well. I think that is the truth. Having been a teacher for a long time,
yes,
and when you are the head of the school, it brings about the holistic management issue. The performance of the school in terms of academic achievements will reflect hugely on the management of the institution. And the way we are socialized as Kenyans, we always believe that the success of any individual will depend on the performance of that individual in school. And this is a perspective that we must really change. We must change it because the CBC has different pathways that do not necessarily mean that you must have academic performance. But because of the white-collar job that our colonialists put into our minds that for you to be successful, you must always go through a system that gives you good grades. So the principals of schools and the head teachers, both secondary and primary, are quite anxious because the society would want to see how the results of those schools will be after the final exam. And this is, to the society, a reflection of the principal's performance, which is not necessarily true.
Yes.
So this brings a lot of anxiety to the teachers and the principals. Even as they teach, you'll find that most teachers, unlike students, some teachers are more anxious than the students. And with the experience that I have, the performance of students almost largely depend on the way they are handled by their teachers. To me, I believe teachers define 90% of the performance of the students within a school setup. They are very good teachers that we know that their students will always do well, irrespective of the kind of the students that they have.
Yes.
So that performance normally is really for the teachers. They know how to shape the minds of the students. So as we approach the exams now, both the teachers and the students are anxious, and it will be in maybe a week's time or so. And we believe that last 2 weeks, the secondary head teachers have been saying that some disbursements, especially for tuition practicals, had not been done. But I hope now they will be able to bring that in school so that the exams are done in a conducive environment, a proper environment with facilities. And our students, we want to wish them well at this time. both primary and secondary. And we also want to ask our teachers just to stay calm and not to be too anxious for this performance.
Let me bring in Peter Wasaga. Wasaga is advocate of the High Court. And Peter, good to see you once again.
Thank you so much.
I want to use the example and analogy that Mheshimiwa Orero has given. There's a student, there's examination, there's anxiety, and the performance of the school. In relation to what is happening in the country right now, and I wanted to give that clear example of what is happening to an examination. And that is why I started this with him, so that he can give us a background. Who is feeling more heat right now as we enter into the last stretch of this impeachment process? The impeachment process, I started by asking who feels the heat. The student feels the heat, the students feels the pressure, the teachers, the school, and everybody else. Using that example of a school and an examination just about, the deputy president is facing the Pontius Pilate, let me use that word, today, an examination. He must be under pressure. Copy-paste that example and give us a scenario of what's happening in the country right now.
Thank you so much. It's good I was a student some few years ago.
Yes.
And it's a pleasure that I have very eminent teachers who have, for a very long time, fought for the rights of teachers and also have led various schools to greater heights and great performance. So I'm very excited to use that analogy. Assuming Kenya is a school and assuming there is a test, and there is now the syllabus.
Yes.
And our syllabus is the Constitution, the grand norm. When you look at section Article 2 of the Constitution, it says that no one is above the Constitution. It binds all state organs. And any law that is inconsistent with the Constitution should be declared null and void. So that is the syllabus that we have to go through in examining the deputy president. Number two, we also have the Article 10 of the Constitution, still in the same book,
yes,
which provides for the principles, the national values and principles of governance, which again echoes the separation of power,
yes,
echoes the rule of law, democracy, public participation, inclusivity, among so many other values and principles. Then we also go now to Article 150, still on the same book, which now gives the grounds upon which a deputy president can be impeached. And the same grounds are those that are given under Article 145 on what amounts, what constitutes to gross violation of the Constitution, committing a crime under the national and international laws, or even gross misconduct. So this is this a threshold that must be met. So then now there is the examiners.
Yes.
And the invigilators.
And who are the examiners in this case?
The examiners in this case are the Senate. The Senate. They are those that set the exams. I believe that, no. If I say the examiner is the Senate, I will be wrong, because it goes beyond the moderators. They are the examiners, and they are now the moderators, which is the court. There is now the prosecutor. In this case, the prosecutor is the National Assembly. And then there is the examiner, that is the Senate. And then there is now the moderator, that is the judiciary. That ensures that the processes are followed. They look at the marking scheme vis-a-vis what was done, and they come up with a decision that this examination was marked very well, and Rigathi Gachagua deserves to go home or he deserves to remain. Two things, Olo. The impeachment process is both political and a legal process. It is a political process because it is carried out by politicians.
Right.
And there is a threshold that has to be met. And this threshold, sometimes and many of the times, it must be approved by the parties. That's why there are whips. So ODM is whipped, Kenya Kwanza is whipped, depending on whichever position you take, and the Wiper is whipped. You've seen that. And then there is now the aspect now looking at the grounds vis-a-vis the law. And we have seen the 11 grounds and we've seen the law, which have been very clear. Now, the examiner cannot come and tell us that, you know, I am not going to sit this exam because my fellow also did this the same syllabus and was not tested on this same paper. So because it is within the discretion of the examiner to test any student depending on whatever they've taught. So if Mr. Orero here, MP Kibra, has not forwarded any motion to impeach the president, you cannot insinuate that Kufa Dereva, Kufa Makanga. You are only crucified based on the allegations that have been brought forth. You cannot be tried on rumors. You are tried on grounds and allegations. So there could be a reasoning that Kufa, the driver should also die, the Makanga should also die, and I've seen there is another third party who has been brought, the mechanic should also die. But there are no allegations against the driver. There are no allegations against the mechanic. Whatever is here is simply the Makanga, in quotes, the Makanga, and the Makanga has to face the law. Has to face the law in what way? He has to defend himself. And how do you defend yourself? You defend yourself by adducing evidence. The Evidence Act is very clear that he who wants a court to believe anything has to prove. And it is not on the volumes. It is not on the very big cartons. It is on the substance of the. It is on the substance of those evidence. Last, which I also want to close on this. It's a very simple analogy. That as a political process, you both have political advisors and then you have legal advisors. The political advisors, I presuppose, have advised Rigathi Gachagua that, you see, when you go through the entire process, you are able to come out as a lion. Of course, he's already a lion at the back in Mount Kenya, because you see in politics, every publicity, Mr. Sosion here will tell you, and Mheshimiwa Orero, that every publicity in politics or any process in politics makes you famous, and it brings publicity to you, and it can build you, whether it's negative or whether it's positive. So regarding Gachagua, this whole impeachment process has made him popular with the Mount Kenya because he speaks their voice. The Mount Kenya speaks for it's one people, 1 shilling and 1 vote. They have also, there are so many pronunciations that Gachagua has made which resonates with them. So when they tell him to hold on, and the political advisors tell him to hold on, he has achieved on that political capital. But now my question is, you can achieve on the political capital and become even the kingpin, but what would that kingpin help you with if you are taken through the entire impeachment process and then you cannot hold any other office? It means that it is all vanity.
Is that a question for me to answer, or who should answer that question?
Perhaps
it is a statement. It's kind of a statement, not really, because what is
we are still back in the school setup. Remember,
he's trying to allude to the fact that when you go through the whole process of impeachment, now the integrity of that person is completely eroded, and maybe might not be able, going by the former impeachments that occurred. We had some governors who were impeached in the previous regime, and they were not allowed to contest. I remember one of them even wanted to contest in Coast, and even in Nairobi, and he was not allowed to contest.
Because you have to come with the certificate of good conduct.
Yes. So it is the erosion of integrity of a person at this level, despite the political limelight that he has acquired. So he must also look at the legal aspect of it. So I really want to concur with my colleague here. He has really put it well, that the advisory team, I think some people must have advised him either to step down, to resign, so that he saves the face, the integrity part of it. So you can achieve so much in the political arena, because as we say that both negative and positive publicity gives you publicity. But it will take him time to clean his image if he goes, in case he's impeached. I don't want to preempt what the Senate is going to do, because it's a legal process. But just in case, but we can never know what is going to happen. But if in case he's impeached, his political ambition will be really curtailed. I don't think he's going to achieve what he expects to achieve in the future.
All right.
I think that is what he's trying to infer.
Okay.
Yes, Lucy.
First, I will start by correcting our learned friend here.
Go ahead.
That it's not all Mount Kenya people that resonate with the Gachagua, whatever he is doing.
But you are from Moyale. You are not Mount Kenya. Are you speaking on behalf of...
Mount Kenya, yes.
Oh, okay.
She's a Kenyan.
I'm a Kenyan. So it's not all of them, and it's very clear. You don't have to even to have come from Mount Kenya, of which I am. The fact that you saw Mount Kenya getting divided, you have Kindeki's group, you have Jorin Cheke, you have all these groups, it shows that there is no resonating 100% with him. So there's nothing like that. Let me also use the analogy, but now socially.
Go ahead.
On the social aspect, when you're using that analogy of the teacher and students and the exams, I am putting it now from the family point of view. The most affected, or the most people with a lot of nervousness here, you can put yourself in the shoes of Dorcas Gachagua and the children, those people who are very close to him, and definitely the Mount Kenya itself. Whoever believes in whatever he is preaching, the division or being just a Murima. So the Murima, so a lot of people will be affected. And
I like the way you say the Murima.
Because I'm Murima. so the Murima, that is the Gachagua way of saying it.
By the way, before you continue, it was Justice Chacha Mwita who also, Anthony Mrima, will also be in that empaneled.
Murima also will be
Justice,
in the panel of
the three judges.
of judging the Murima issue.
Murima is the name of a person.
Murima is the name of a person. Murima is a proper noun. So
Justice Eric Ogola, Justice Freda Mugambi, and Anthony.
And Murima.
Go ahead.
So it's a proper
So,
name.
and on socially, it like Mwalimu was saying, any publicity is publicity, negativity or positivity. So they will be affected both equally, positively and negatively. There are those who are very excited about it. The fact that they are divided, I'm talking about the Murima. There are those people who are very disappointed and feels that they were betrayed. Yesterday we saw some MPs from Meru saying what they were told for them to start supporting Kindiki. They were told that he's going to be the deputy, and that's why they divided the East and the West Mount Kenya. So our learned friend, we already have East and West, and you don't have to come from there. You are a Kenyan, you have been following. So all those particular people are affected. And then on the accusation, which came one of 11 in Parliament, I don't know if it is true or not, about the hotel, the Olive Hotel, that belonged to his
Olive
brother.
Garden.
Honestly, it hurt a lot of people. Me, even as a woman, because I don't know where I belong. If my husband passes on, what happens? And especially when that kind of treatment came from, I mean, someone who is purported to be son of Mau Mau, who is supposed to know how you should treat you. Do you even try property? And all along when he was talking about these properties at the Parliament, when he was defending himself, there's nowhere he mentioned his brother's wives or the children. And this is someone who has children, a man who is African, supposed to pray on Mount Kenya, but the African Mount Murima man, that is an handoff. So from that already made a lot of enemies from that. If you don't know what kind of example is he showing even to the other Murima people, I being a Murima product, I'm not safe as a woman because anything can happen. If they're looking at...
You're safe. You're safe.
Yeah.
I wish you came from our village. When your brother dies, you easily inherit.
So imagine now.
You inherit the murema, everything else.
Now you can imagine this woman, unfortunately. I understand that. And you're seeing a lot of murema women, actually, they are moving to those sites where women are taking, not grabbing what has been left.
You're making Peter Wasaga to be happy.
It is true, but that is a fact. It's an emotional connection thing. So that one really hurt a lot of women, especially. And you could see even the reaction of women parliamentarians, although they were being told they are not on issue. It is also an issue. That means a lot to women. You can imagine now your husband is gone. No one is talking about you and your children. And someone is busy selling your property, and all he's saying is, my son is able. Even youth. If it is true, the youth of this country was so much hurt. Okay. You can imagine your son, who is less than 30 years old, can go to a bank and acquire a loan of 600 million. How many other youths can get that? So the reaction socially of many Kenyans is there, positively and negatively. A lot of them with hatred and wishing he could go like yesterday because he's not a good example, purporting he's a son of Mau Mau.
Very good. So, Mwalimu Sosina, I want to take a break, but perhaps in under 2 minutes if you can, because we are seeing the situation unfolding and it's been so seamless. When Parliament took that position, the way Parliament conducted itself, people thought that it was going to be chaotic, Mheshimiwa Orero. A majority of Kenyans thought it was going to be chaotic, but it was the opposite. The House was full to the capacity, and the Deputy President, together with his legal team, everybody was heard in silence. Again, Lucy, you'll have to answer this one now. When it comes to emotions, how emotions take place in this kind of scenario. But then, Mwalimu Sosion, when you look at how Parliament and Senate is handling this thing, the communication between the Senate and the National Assembly, the seamless kind of flow of information and messaging. You've been in that house, again with Mheshimiwa Orero here. What do you really think is happening behind the scenes? I don't want to ask Mheshimiwa Orero because probably might give me more info that I don't need.
Before I talk about that, allow me to make a comment.
Yes.
About the item that has just been on discussion. The feelings of others, the effect, what people are
You're giving analogy of the school?
What people are feeling at Murima and the rest.
Okay.
Socially now.
Now, you see, when you are convicted as a criminal and you are sentenced to jail, those around you will definitely
feel bad.
But you see, the law takes precedence. You must go to jail. And as an individual, you are not going with your family members. You are not serving the jail sentence with your clan or with your community. So this should be seriously separated. It should not be impeachment should not be politicized or weaponized to emotionalize a tribe or a community. I saw the NCIC saying, oh, it is going to create ethnic tension. Far from it. The thing is, the impeachment is on counts of crimes, violation of the Constitution, engaging and gross misconduct while in office by an individual, not by a family.
But there is a ripple effect.
Not by the clan.
You give an example
not
of
by
somebody
the
being
mountain.
convicted and sent to jail, Mheshimiwa Sosion, and there is always a ripple effect.
So
in the
essentially,
family.
what I'm saying fundamentally and philosophically, this should not be ethnicized. Carry your own cross as an individual, face the charges, answer to the charges. If you are able to acquit yourself of the charges leveled against you, anybody being impeached, so be it. So I think it is the right thing to do. What is operating here, it is the force and the power of the Constitution. The simplest way of movement of things is how the Constitution is structured. It is the structure of the Constitution.
Very good.
Very few people do not understand the power of this Constitution. Just like people do not understand the power of the people as envisaged in Article 1 to be exercised directly or through the elected representatives. When Kenyans stood up in the public participation to critique the finance bill in 2023 and 2024, it was the highest level of active participation. That Kenyans can question how taxes are collected. And they could also question how their money is spent. Look at other jurisdictions outside Kenya.
Could you please just take us on a break?
Budgets are never questioned. And so what is happening seamlessly is the structure of the constitution and the order of the assemblies. And therefore, Kenyans should now appreciate
I've called you for
the powers of county assemblies and the national assemblies. Thank you.
I've called you for the 5th time. Let's take a break.
County as we honor our heroes. Join us for a comprehensive coverage of Mashujaa Day live from Kwale Stadium as we mark the milestones made in the affordable housing projects.
Nasema karibuni sana, muje mujienjoy, muone yale yote mazuri ambayo yako ndani ya kaunti ya Kwale.
All these will be live on KBC Channel 1 TV, KBC radio stations and all our socials. Heko kwa Mashujaa wetu.
Never be the same by your strength. Tell you this vibe, this lovely vibe, this is the vibe on the beach side. Why you worry? Why you worry? Worry is unnecessary. Just their hearings. That is why children are living. Chiga. I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm moving in a positive vibe. Stop at my face. You only come around to do fake things. Your little bad mind face.
Nadhani umefika muda wa kurudi kwa wazazi wangu na mwanangu Maya. Hapa haya ni maji ya shingo na nimeshindwa kabisa kuyaogelea.
Mimi naweza chapwa na mwanamke mimi huyo basi.
Hata wewe mtu mzima haujui kuchunga mzigo wako. Shauri yako.
All right, welcome back. So now, I want to give Mheshimiwa Sosion another 1 minute to finish his statement.
So
go ahead.
The way Parliament is structured, it has got legal instruments and legal human resource experts. And it even has research department, it has personnel. And if you looked at how the public participation was conducted, it was done by staff of the National Assembly in a very efficient manner with the very effective tools that could collect both qualitative and quantitative data from the public in all 47 counties. And when an order came on a Friday for extension to the constituencies, they were still able to do it at the constituency level the next day. That tells you about the versatility and ability of the National Assembly. It is an independent arm of government. Being an arm of government, it is well-resourced both in financially and in terms of human resource and traditions and way of doing things. So when you see movement of issues seamlessly, when a vote was taken by the National Assembly at, say, 8:40 p.m., for example, I can't recall the exact time.
It was 8:17 p.m.
It was possible at exactly 8:30 to have all the documents transmitted to the Senate the same moment. And the Senate, the Speaker of the Senate could gazette by 9 p.m. It is possible. Parliament has ability of executing matters on real time with precision, with no mistakes. Look at the judgments and the rulings that the Speaker reads. They are well reasoned out, they are done in real time, they are accurate, convincing. You can feel the aura and the mood of fairness, and you can derive a lot of facts and even satisfaction from how that is done. So the way our people don't understand our parliament, people think it is just a market, but it is one of the most orderly and most effective institutions, and that is why it's able to conduct business with a lot of precision. So I would tell Kenyans that now the chicks have come home to roost. The power of the county assemblies as well, because the county assemblies have matured as well over time. They are able to move very successful impeachments, but we have seen some assemblies, they don't want to comply, they think it is political. Now, when it comes to executing matters like impeachment and bills, it is not political. It is about doing things within the corridor of the Constitution and the law. So really, our county assemblies, I think they've come of age. The National Assembly is powerful enough, but the Parliament, that is, National Assembly and the Senate, they're efficient enough. So I expect we are almost 1 hour to commencement or or 50 minutes to commencement of the process of impeachment at the Senate. And I'm sure the Senate will do it systematically, seamlessly, and it is open to the public. Again, you can follow. And I can tell you, within no time, once they take the vote tomorrow, other processes can still follow seamlessly. So, and that is how to govern.
But in this case, the Senate is going
this arm of government is setting the best example of how to govern. Then let me come to members of parliament.
Would you just hold on? Just kindly, just hold on to that. But Wakili, in this case, the Senate is going to go through the charges one by one.
Yes.
11 of them to interrogate. So what happens if, what will happen in this case? 11 of them, will it be a case of if one count is found guilty, or all of them? Or what's the threshold?
Thank you so much. Like I mentioned before, right now the Parliament is the prosecutor, that is the National Assembly. It will prosecute its motion against Gachagua before the Senate. The Senate will have to examine each ground.
One by one?
One by one.
Okay.
Looking at the ground, the law, and the facts. Just like a court process, actually it's a quasi-judicial process. Because witnesses will be called. The witness in chief, the other witnesses to support. I saw the National Assembly already, they have the Honorable Mutuse, Honorable Chende Amolo, Peter Kaluma, and the rest who will be there to prosecute that motion. Then they will be cross-examined by the Deputy President's team. And there will be also time for re-examination. After the examination, just to the National Assembly legal team are given time again to clarify on some of the issues that were brought up during the hearing. Thereafter, we will go through the next process. Now the defense hearing. The defense hearing, Rigathi Gachagua, together with, if he has any other witness, they'll be brought before the Senate, and the process, they will be examined in chief, the cross-examination and the re-examination. Then each party will close their case. Then on each of the grounds, the Senate will look at its merits. Of course, you remember this stems from the Constitution, Article 50, that gives you a fair hearing, and also Article 47 on fair administrative action. So after all this is done, assuming Gachagua, Deputy President, succeeds or is able to disprove 10 grounds and only one ground succeeds or sails through, still Gachagua will be going home. If Gachagua is able to disapprove 8 and the rest sail through, still Gachagua will be going home. But if the Senate will be able to overturn everything, I mean to find him innocent of all the allegations.
All the 11 of them.
All the 11 of the allegations.
Even if one.
Exactly.
One, yes.
Yes. So the 11 grounds are very independent and they have to be prosecuted differently. You've seen what happened in the Kawira Mwangaza impeachment, and also the previous impeachments of Governor Sonko and also Governor Waititu. But now, one interesting thing that we must know, and that this is for the first time, we are testing the Constitution. Article 150.
Clearly so, clearly so.
I believe even the framers of the Constitution did not contemplate this. We heavily borrow from South Africa and United States Constitution.
Right.
So the aspect of public participation, I know that is something that has been scrutinized. But I would ask myself, at what stage, because you see, you look at the National Assembly, they are more of they have more of prosecutorial powers. Then after they get that prosecutorial powers, they now take it to the Senate. Actually, the motion in Parliament is to give ahead the motion to proceed to the Senate. So when you look at most of the legal things that may come out is the aspect of the public participation. There have been so many court pronunciation on the same. And that is what actually has necessitated the 29 petitions that were filed in court. And I agree with the judge, Justice Muita, and the previous judgments on the matter. You cannot inject Parliament on a mandate that they are given in the Constitution. The courts can only come to review if the process was duly followed, if the substance has been proved. Other than that, they cannot come and interfere, because you see, Parliament has been given the oversight role, and the only way they can exercise that oversight role is by using their teeth to bite, and the teeth to bite here is the impeachment, the censure motions, and even suspension from office. That is what they can do. So after going through the whole process, that is when now judicial review application can be brought against the entire process, whether the public participation was conducted well, whether there was a pronunciation, because I also heard there's an allegation that the Speaker of the National Assembly, who needs to be a judge, already made himself, made a declaration or took a stand on the impeachment process on a public function. Is it a public or a private function? The other allegation was also on the Deputy Speaker. But then you also have to examine it vis-a-vis the law. Did she say that in her capacity as the Deputy Speaker, or in her capacity as the women rep of Uasin Gishu County? Because all these things are you look at it, they are not interrelated.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, because I really wanted that clarity, that clarification, because even Lucy asked herself, one count disapproved and he's gone home.
Exactly. I just want to add something.
Go ahead.
My colleague here, we call them our learned friend. I said we have really borrowed from South Africa and United States, but I also want to add that the procedures of our house, we have also borrowed from the House of Commons, the UK. I've been in House of Commons, I think 3 times. To see the procedures of how they conduct their business is almost basically the same with our procedures in our parliament here. And during public participation, I was really taken aback. You know, we allowed everybody to express his opinion. And one of the guys really abused us. And he said, you MPs, you are very stupid. We have never seen stupid people like the MPs. So I did not know the threshold of our stupidity in that. While I can attest to this, some of the members of the National Assembly contributed heavily in the drafting and in the making of this constitution.
Right.
We are very, very brilliant lawyers in that National Assembly. When you see somebody like Dr. Otiende Amolo, he is one of the brilliant lawyers that we have in the National Assembly. And I hear he will prosecute this. And he was among those lawyers who contributed in the making of the 2010 Constitution. So I believe that the Constitution is going to be followed within the framework, that is the legal framework that is required. And I think that the Kenyans are going to be treated. This is the time that we'll know what our Constitution requires and how it is interpreted.
Yeah.
We want the Kenyans to know the level at which our Constitution can be used. Because when it is drafted and written, many people do not know the effect of the Constitution and the power of the Constitution.
Until it's put into action.
Until it is put into action.
But let me ask you again, Mheshimiwa. Under the new Constitution, did you, at any given point, sitting in that National Assembly after election 2022, foresee such a scenario as members sitting? Because you'd had bills, you'd have bills in the Senate, in the National Assembly, debate on different motions, but this one was a new one. How was Parliament prepared to tackle this kind of an impeachment of this magnitude? I'm talking about the National Assembly in general, from the Speaker and the entire staff and everybody else. This must be a test for the House. Just for example, the way you gave an example of the students preparing for an examination. I mean,
Well, until you are a member of the Assembly, you cannot understand the diversity of the minds of the people in that National Assembly.
House, right.
We have very diverse minds. And our mindset are normally determined by the people you represent, because you are a representative of your own people. Whatever you are going to prosecute must also resonate with the demands and the interests of where you come from. And we cannot be whipped to think in one direction. We are not a unidirectional thinkers.
Yeah.
We are diversified. And even to the speakers of the National Assembly, there is no way you are going to prepare members to think in one direction, because all of those members have their not just political interests, but they also uphold very, very highly those they represent in the National Assembly. I would weigh in on the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. I think both of them are lawyers, and one of them has been a lecturer in the law school in Nairobi University, I think the Deputy Speaker. And Wetangula has been there almost in the Parliament more than any other person. I will not advocate for them, but it is upon the Senate and upon the judiciary to see whether their pronouncements that they made, just as my colleague has said, really, did they make them in Parliament? What is the effect of their statement?
Yes.
Had the proceedings started? Did they influence the outcome of the proceedings? Were they made within the presence of Parliament? So sometimes you can make political pronouncements in your constituency, and by that time, maybe like the Deputy Speaker is a women rep.
Yeah.
So she took her time to go to the village where she represents her people. So what I do not know, that does this constitute a constitutional illegality, or does it really, can it be a substance, can it be an evidence to negate the process that had occurred, a seamless process that had occurred within the National Assembly?
Oh, yes.
So I think
there's a difference between when she says it's out there and when she does it in the National
within
Assembly.
the National Assembly, because there it goes into Hansard.
Exactly.
And it becomes an evidential background that can be adduced within the court system. So I think these are some of the legal issues that will be determined maybe if they have to go to the court.
Let me get from Lucy, then I come back to Sosion. Yes.
Actually, the Deputy Speaker very clearly, before she continued doing anything in Parliament, she excused herself and she said she's now not speaking as the Deputy Speaker. She's talking as the women rep of West Shingishu, and she was representing the people of West Shingishu. So she made that one very clear on TV.
I'm told
so
you.
So the other thing...
Lucy, your mic has a problem. I'll come back to you shortly. Just excuse me for that. Sosion, you wanted to say something?
Yes. I think with the judgments, there are 11 charges that of course the Senate will prosecute and hear. But I think what the National Assembly did was to simply prepare and vote globally. The real trial is at the Senate, and where that is where whoever is being impeached will have the burden of proof to acquit himself, and the Senate will acquit you if you prove that you cannot be impeached. But then, as the senior counselor said, even only one being impeached in one of the items, then you are construed to have been completely impeached. Now, one thing we should appreciate is that this judicial decision, I call it is a judicial decision, was placed in the National Assembly, or Parliament rather, so that then rogue state officers can be dealt with expeditiously and speedily to promote governance. At the end of the day, what we want is a governance system that is working. The president the other day, and he diagnosed as the president of the country that the problem of Kenya is incompetent leadership and conflict of interest. Incompetent leadership and conflict of interest in institutions is a rampant thing, and the only way you need to deal with it is to use the tool of impeachment as a beginning point to get people out of office. If you get to other jurisdictions, like when you talk about what happens in Singapore, we saw the first prime minister who said systems work, and they said, keep the system clean. So we must keep our governance structure in this country clean so that we can deliver to the citizens, can bring corruption down to zero. It is not a question of managing, but we can bring it down to zero completely. And we can run an economy that is promising, and we can have a governance system that the people are feeling the value for their taxes in terms of services, particularly education and health, and therefore having individuals in government positions who are engaging in impunity by violating the Constitution and engaging in crimes and of course gross misconduct is a wrong thing. I think this is a very good beginning step, and I expect more impeachments. If we have issues like you're saying, the Speaker of the Senate has ordered the arrest of governor of Isiolo. The powers to do it, the shortest, is that the Assembly should have impeached that governor like yesterday. So that then is dealt with at the Senate. It is now time that without extending any sympathy or any exception to any public officer or state officer, impeachment can be used as a tool so that it interacts together with other avenues of dealing with corruption, like EACC and crimes in court, so that then when they interact together, we improve governance and we can protect the economy of this country, which has been very resilient from cartels and patrons of corruption.
Give it to Lucy. Remember, you took her time.
Smoke them out of government.
She donated her time to you. Lucy, over to you.
Thank you, Olo.
Thank you,
and you asked Mheshimiwa Mwalimu.
Yes.
if the parliament was ready to handle such a case. I would say it is very fortunate that Gachagua assisted them very much. Gachagua literally impeached himself. Because a lot of things the parliament members were talking about, it is the things that he told them on the previous day. Whoever advised Gachagua on that, he concentrated more on political and emotional aspects. He wanted to catch people's feelings, he wanted to help with people's emotions, but in the process, he gave a lot of information which was maybe necessary and maybe not necessary. He was not even aware. But because from the argument of the parliamentarians on that day, all the references were like you told us last night. He took a whole 1 to 2 hours addressing Kenyans on things that they did not know, even public we didn't know. So I would say actually he assisted the parliament. It made it very easy for them. It also made it very easy for us, the public. We understood many things that instead of him wiping emotions of most Kenyans, actually most Kenyans now went against because of his explanations.
Okay.
So Gachagua maybe needed the impeachment because he literally impeached
I believe
himself.
all of us are,
Yes.
are familiar with this statement. Wakili,
yes.
You have a right to remain silent. And anything you'll say will be used against you in the court of law. You either stand to represent yourself or you get attorney to represent you, etc., etc. So silence is powerful, right?
That's
I want to ask you a question to all of you. How important is this process for Kenya, where we are today? In the new constitution, we've never experienced it. But how important is this process for Kenya in general, the entire leadership structure and to Wanjiku? How important is this? Wakili.
I think one, like you've mentioned, we have made strides as a country. Unlike in the old constitution where the president will just wake up one day and fire a deputy or a vice president, right now it must be substantive and procedural. There is a form of security of tenure that the deputy president has been given.
Yes.
So one importance of this is the acknowledgement that our constitution is advanced, and looking also at Article 47 of the Constitution and Article 50 on fair hearing, it also brings about the issue of rules of natural justice, which now applies to everyone, irrespective of your status in the society. The other thing that we are going to reap from the entire process is that we are going to see jurisprudence develop. We are going to see precedents being created, which can then enhance our legal engagements and dispensation in the coming days. A good example is that now we have the need, we now see the need to legislate on a Public Participation Act, which has been a very big thorn in the entire process.
Yes.
And that is what has led to the many petitions that have been filed in court. Of course, there have been so many court pronunciations, starting from the Wambora case, where they said that where the court held that public must be given adequate notice on matters to be discussed, and they must be given time to respond. Number two, the public in the public participation, it must not just be for formality, but whatever is discussed must be documented, and the reviews and views of the public must be taken into account.
Yes.
Now we are caught up in a very elaborate pronunciation by the courts,
yes,
and now looking at it within now the confines and the timelines of the impeachment of the president, which also the Constitution has stipulated. It is not objective, it is subjective. It keeps shifting. For example, the public participation that is engaged in the legislative process cannot be the same that is used in impeaching the president.
I want to fill your cups. I want to fill your cups. And the only way I can do that is to take a break.
Okay.
The only way I can do that.
Maybe I can pick it up from that.
I'll pick it up from there. But I still, the remaining three are, how important is it? Even you, Mheshimiwa, sitting in that house, how important is this process? Is there something that we are learning as a nation? Lucy, is there something that we are learning? Either way, he's impeached or not, but what are we able to pick from this moving forward? All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia mashinani.
Wanahabari zaidi ya ubora wao wako ange kukuletea habari pindi zinapochipuka kutoka pembe zote za Kenya.
Kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini tunakuletea mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja kufafanua na kuangazia masuala yanayokuhusu wewe mtazamaji.
Kumbuka, taarifa yenye thamani daima hupokewa kwa amani.
Hivyo basi usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki.
Tukupakulie na tukutaarifu taarifa yenye mnato kwenye runinga unayoienzi. Kwenye kurunzi mashinani,
sisi DC.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Okay, welcome back. So I asked a question. There's a gentleman called Isaac Oyangi. Isaac Oyangi on a social media is saying that Senate is a conveyor belt for National Assembly to a predetermined decision. I don't know how true that is. Zachary Maina says the case is predetermined. All right. Gachagua is there to stay. That is from Kagamba John, journalist. Kwani, don't you know the meaning of don't touch the mountain, quote unquote, Mrima? Geoffrey Oncheku is saying that only if Ruto's huge... Okay, let me skip that. Cheriot Takitech TM is saying that Gachagua to stay, hii serikali ni ya nani? All right, that's a good question. Alphonse Oxygen, Gachagua anafaa tu aende. Okay, those are your comments and messages. Evo Van Stein saying that Mheshimiwa Orero 2027 mkue ready. Mtasimama hata kwa barabara. That is some of the comments coming from our social media. But let me come back. How important is this, Lucy? We are here at this particular point. We are learning something in the process as a nation. How important is this process of impeachment?
I would say it is like a turning point for our country. It's not just a question of impeachment. It's a trial and challenge to our three arms of government. A lot of people are learning now and want to see how they do things.
Yeah.
There's already a lot of blames also from some sectors on the parliament. We are now, they are saying, Orero, be ready to stand on the road as we come sweeping you that when that time comes. Let's see now. It's not me saying. It's not me saying. We are saying.
Is he from Kibra? I only respond to Cobra people.
Evo Van Stein, where are you from? There's a question for you.
Yeah. So generally, this time, even if it's not from where, they're just talking generally about the parliament after that, the decisions or how they worked. So let the Senate know also Kenyans are watching them. Kenyans want to see if they are implementing what is exactly on our constitution, our most, novel book in this country. And also, the next challenge is our judiciary. How are they really going to handle it? Will they be having more questions after that? Will it we will be contented in whatever comes? So it is a trying moment to all those three arms of government, and the Kenyans also have become even more enlightened through this case. They have seen that there's no one who is untouchable. The law works. And if it really works, I will be very happy to see. My anticipation is to see if really the law works in Kenya, if people can misbehave, if we are talking about unity in the country and someone is busy dividing Kenyans in Murima parts and the rest of. We want to see, a lot of us, we are Murima, but we want to see, people who want a united Kenya. We don't care about the Mirimas and the lakes and the valleys and lakes. We want to see a Kenya.
We have valleys here and the lakes.
Yes. So Kenyans right now, they don't care. The things they care about is the things we're just talking about, like healthcare. This is what Kenyans want to hear. This is what we want in Kenya, that there's escalating number of people now dying because of the confusion in SHE and the NHIF. This is what we want. We want to be Kenyan. We want to be served. We don't want this blah, 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 what we want. That's what we want. So the three arms of government, they are on trial. And we are watching. We Kenyans are watching. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Sion, because at the end of the day, we look at a situation where Constitution is in play, fully active. And Wanjiku has also been given a chance to participate in the process. Whichever way it goes, is there any lesson that we are taking home?
Of course, lots of lessons. And people underrated the Constitution. And some even wanted the Constitution changed to suit certain political whims and interests. But now we are beginning to appreciate that this is a powerful constitution that can protect the country. That is one. Two, that impeachment will always succeed as long as they are premised within the presence of constitution and the law. It's not a political process, yes, in as much as the argument that is a political process, but the judges are coached in a legal and constitutional manner, and you must prove beyond doubt. Three, people are appreciating the value then of National Assembly and county assemblies in promoting good governance. It is now time that we promote good governance, good democratic practices, and a fulfilling economy, and the advancement of any country is founded on a sound, democratic, and good governance. And we cannot have that good governance if we don't remove the bad eggs when it is necessary. We are given this opportunity. And it is the people doing it, because they are doing it through Parliament. It goes through public participation. All matters that needs to be transacted at the National Assembly, whether impeachments, whether legislation, must go through public participation. The biggest lesson we have learned here is that the public really needs to do more. And the public participation must be public participation. And we are realizing one thing. We probably need, my learned friend is here, and I think may agree with me, we may need a Public Participations Act, so that there is a legal framework on how it is conducted and applied, so that there is no doubt. We don't keep litigating in court. And we know how the public participation processes are done to satisfy both quantitative and qualitative participation of the public, rather than sometimes we see advertisements in newspapers and some institutions call it public participation. or meeting in boardrooms, and it's called public participation.
Yes.
So we are learning also that a lot needed to have been done with this constitution. We need a public participation act. We also need maybe a referendum act, because the referendum is another provision that is in the constitution, so that it guides the people, and the public can use those instruments and statutes to fulfill their role in the constitution. Maybe those are the gaps that needs to be done.
You're off mic. You're off mic. Your mic is on this other side.
Yes, but above all, nobody is above the law. And if you are impeached as an individual, don't mobilize your family, don't mobilize your clan, don't mobilize your tribe, don't you mobilize your milimas and valleys and lakes and deserts and all of them. Don't. Carry your own cross and go and face the judges. And if you are found guilty, then so be it. You will be removed from leadership.
There's a question here. I don't know whether it's by design or by coincidence, that the speed at which the impeachment is taking is under Constitution, but the impeachment process of the Deputy President came immediately after the formation of the broad-based government. Is it coincidence or by design?
You know, one thing is that the impeachment, when you read Article 144, 145, which lays ground, and even the timelines for the impeachment, you realize that the National Assembly, like when we started, I think we just had 7 days to carry out all the processes of this impeachment, including public participation. We have timelines to carry out that process.
I'm talking about...
So I'm coming to that.
Yes.
You know, we have no legal framework binding a broad-based government, in quotes, as people are saying, that it's a broad-based government. I think you have heard from our leader saying that as ODM or as Azimio, we have not come into a structured way of joining the government. And we have always said that people have been picked from our audience. Until we have that structured engagement, then we cannot actively pronounce that this impeachment has come after we formed a broad-based government. When you look at those allegations...
ODM said that they offered some experts.
Of course, you can see even the cost of electricity has gone down by 8 shillings. Anyway,
is it courtesy of the experts? It was.
Were they requested by the experts?
You see, even, within a very short time, the cost of electricity has gone down. I think Wanda is doing a good job up to now.
I'm not stopping him, but I'm simply reporting. Those are Kenyans who deserve to be appointed. They have been appointed as Kenyans. And it's not the first time. Joseph Ngaiseri was appointed to be the Minister of Interior and Coordination of National Government in 2014 by Jubilee administration from the opposition.
Yes.
So appointments to government and to offices does not have to be through political parties.
They need to be qualified.
And no party lines.
Who is qualified?
Who is qualified?
Who can
it doesn't
serve,
matter where you are in the political shade, you'll be appointed. And I think that is the brand of politics of tolerance which the president is practicing. And I think give it to the president.
Why wasn't Peter picked?
Give it to the president.
Okay, so let me complete this. Because that is a political question. Those charges that have been given against the deputy president, there is none related to broad-based government.
Right.
When you look at them, whether sins of omission or commission, they have been piling from the time the deputy president was named. And this brings us to thoughts that we should never have marriages of convenience. When you want to have a marriage, let us look for people that are compatible. The compatibility aspect is the most significant aspect. My colleague here will tell you that if you want to marry from a Murima, get one who is compatible.
Yes.
And she looks compatible. So
and I offer myself to be the best. And then you will be the witness.
I will be the witness.
You will
I will be the witness.
And you see, she has not instantly raised objection. Anyway, that is for one.
I'm objecting now.
You know, in Parliament, that should have been a point of order, that I'm out of order.
You're out of order.
I apologize. I profusely apologize.
Can you apologize?
But you're not withdrawing.
I have withdrawn and profusely
Can you apologize?
Yes,
why are you withdrawing?
And I ask you to accept my apology.
And we have already taken instructions.
So we are saying that these are misplaced and misconceptions that people attribute to a broad-based government. No. And I think when Gachagua appears in the Senate, let his legal team try to unlock the legal aspects, try to concentrate to vindicate him from these allegations. Let us not bring extraneous issues that really do not serve political attention. These are extraneous issues about broad-based. The problem of the deputy president has no relation completely with what people in could say broad-based government. It is their own making. This is a Kenya Kwanza intra-party politics. It is an individual's mistakes, and we cannot attribute it to any form of associations with the ODM or Azimio as a party. So I want to make it categorically clear and very vivid.
No association
that
whatsoever.
There is no association whatsoever.
I have a question.
Go ahead with that.
Did the impeachment story start at the parliament, or it started with the Gachagua himself telling Kenyans he's going to be impeached? We never heard it from parliament, as maybe others did, but I never. It's all started with him. He started being sectional. He's at some days with the president in meetings, then the following day or in the evening, he has some other meeting somewhere talking about their house, their leadership. Actually, he's the one who started spilling everything and telling us what's going on and the way he's been removed from the WhatsApp groups. I don't think this started even at the parliament. So I support. It has nothing to do with the broad-based. It started a long time. It has been almost a year for him talking out there and trying to put Mount Murima as we are not part of Kenya.
So this is where we are today.
Like he was the deputy president of Murima. That's how he started behaving.
If you'd allow me to weigh in.
Yes. But again, as you weigh in, so if Gachagua is ousted, that's tomorrow, the case, the proceedings starting the next few, then the name of the successor is likely to be tabled on Thursday night. That is tomorrow, right? And then National Assembly will be expected to hold a special sitting on Friday for the consideration of the successor. That if is impeached. That is by tomorrow. So do you have any communication to that effect, Mheshimiwa? Special sitting on Friday?
We can never have before it happens.
Before it happens.
But we are almost going for recess.
Rumor has it.
Okay. So when we go
smoke, there's fire.
We are going to have recess. I hope it is not my last statement.
I'll come back for a minute each. Yes, Peter.
I think one lesson that we learn from the entire impeachment process is that now if I want to politically comment, and it's good that I have the politicians here, that in Kenya, politics is not about ideologies. Politics in Kenya is about conveniences, and they are ethnic based. And that is one reality that is coming out very clearly. Rigathi Gachagua and the president, William Ruto, were not joined based on any ideology. They were joined on convenience, in that Rigathi Gachagua had the mantra, had the zeal, and had the power to fight the former president and be able to deliver the vote. But then, Assumption, that's an assumption.
The president fought for his own votes. He went door to door asking for votes in Mount Kenya, with or without the Gachagua, Ruto, and votes from Mount Kenya.
So coming to where we are, and in politics, there are no permanent.
Sorry, would it have mattered if somebody else was a running mate of Ruto from
Mount Kenya? I don't think so. Ruto had done a lot of work individually, personally. Yes, he just did. I think even it was like. It was a favor to Gachagua anyway. Very few, no one even knew Gachagua.
Let me just finish.
Already we are out.
Just in 1 minute.
So
what happens is that right now, after that, the same people who fought Gachagua, I'm driving a point home. The same person who fought Gachagua previously is now Gachagua's ardent supporter. That is Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka. And those who were for Gachagua, like Kimani Ichung'wah, are the same people who are now crucifying Rigathi Gachagua. What does that tell you? That power and political dalliance is is transient. So do not make laws today thinking that you are punishing the opposition or you are punishing an individual. It will be very unfortunate if that very law would be applied against you. Malala, for example, promised the opposition that during the protest, before the Gen Z protest, the Azimio protest, he told them that what government was planning with the demonstration, only God knew. Today, Cleophas Malala is with the deputy president who is being roasted and is out of grace with power. So whenever we look at these impeachable offenses, let us, that is just also to the National Assembly and even the Senate, let us create a precedent so that even if Orero, Mheshimiwa Orero will be the deputy president and Sosion will be the president and he will be Mr. Sosion, Mheshimiwa Sosion, would not want to have Mr. Orero then, Mheshimiwa Orero, then the same laws can conveniently and in a very good way apply, not being retrogressive and not being punitive.
I think what we need, although he's our legal, a learned friend, what we want, I think he should just say that we should operate within the Constitution. Because as what we are talking about are contained in the Constitution. So we must strive that our Constitution can last 100 years. It contains all these aspects that we are talking about. So it's not about what we want, like giving example of Malala's case. We must operate within the Constitution. That is, I think, the point.
Gentlemen, ladies, we are already out of time. I'm told that we are going to Senate. Sosion, you have, I'll give you 30 seconds if you can.
And give it all to President Kibaki because he said Vision 2030 and also gave us a constitution. And in Vision 2030, our politics is supposed to be issue-based. And so even impeachment should be issue-based. We are dealing with issues. And I think it is time we should begin completely retiring from our minds issues to do with ethnicity and politics of common interest, and we look at the wider interest of the nation. So I want to believe that once this impeachment is concluded, either way, then it will form the basis of elevating our politics to issues, so that we forget about Murimas, the valleys, the rivers, the lakes, and the rest. And we look at Kenya and the good of all people of Kenya, as was envisioned in Vision 2030 and in our Constitution. And we agree there is a lot still to be fulfilled in our Constitution. And it's incumbent upon all of us Kenyans to make sure that our Constitution works without necessarily clamoring, so that we amend it to suit our selfish political interests. We must make our politics selfless rather than selfish and pro-people.
Thank you so much.
Final word, 1 minute.
Yes, because you're the lady.
I'm a politician, I must say hi to Kibra people. It's okay.
Go ahead, Lucy.
Hello, Kibra.
Because you are the new lady, first lady.
The compatibility. Go ahead, Lucy.
I'll take Mbuzi after this.
Who knows?
Yes.
Let the impeachment be issue-based. Let our Constitution be respected. Let the people of Kenya see the 3 arms of government working as expected.
And we continue saying constitution first, emotional and political waping of emotions must stop, and let our judgment or the judgment not be aligned to anything else besides the constitution and the legal facts.
All right. Mheshimiwa, ODM is making some changes in their housekeeping. A lot of changes happened in Mombasa over the weekend. You must be preparing yourself adequately. What's happening?
And you know, we have had some of our members
who are preparing for a proper agreement of fraud-based in 2027. Proper agreement. Now we shall sign in 2027. We shall not pick individuals.
Not really.
We shall sign.
Mheshimiwa Sossion can now come back because
no. We'll be, you know, the current government is purely ODM because all of us came from ODM.
Allah.
So we are bringing back our former house and
a word of confirmation. You see, is there space for him?
No. There's space for them. No, there's space for them because they are coming.
I am not allowed to speak on behalf of the ODM.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much, and lady. Peter Rero, representing the great people of Kibra, thank you so much for coming on the show. Peter Wasaga, an advocate of the High Court, asante sana for your valid contribution. The only lady, the maid, Lucy Moria, people of Isiolo, tuko naye hapo Nairobi. She's doing a great job, right? Asante sana. And Mwalimu Sossion. Okay. That's where we take it a wrap. Asante sana for joining us. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we are going straight to the Senate on that impeachment proceeding, starting right now until late in the evening. Again, tomorrow we'll pick up here tomorrow and then see what will happen. If the deputy president is impeached, then by weekend we'll have a new name floated to be the next deputy president, and thereafter 60 days will be taken care of as per the constitution for the National Assembly and the Senate to take it up there. Right now, we are heading to the Senate. My name is Victor. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.